Hello, everybody. We're sorry we're a few minutes late, had a few technical challenges, but welcome to a program we're calling The Spirit of Community. We put this special together, about 2 hours worth of material, because we've been amazed at the stories we've been seeing throughout our community of people out there lending a hand, doing their part, trying to keep our community strong in the face of some incredible challenges that lie ahead. We're not doing this alone tonight. I've put together a terrific panel of community co-hosts, which I'm pleased to welcome tonight and introduce, starting with Claire Chappell from the Yoga Chapel. Welcome, Claire.
How are you?
Good. You're a very social person. You're out there in the community. You're doing things online. Tell me what your perspective of the community is right now as we face this challenge.
Well, we're like everybody's struggling in their own way, but we all keep together and we're trying to be as social as possible. Zoom and Facebook and Instagram keep us all connected. You can still get your coffee, but it's in a different way. So we're just doing things virtually and trying to stay positive. So we're trying our best, and hopefully everybody's keeping in there.
Trevor Bean from Jubilee Stratford, you've been part of this community for almost 25 years. Why is it important, do you think, to share positive stories like the ones we're seeing tonight?
Great, thank you, Craig. Well, first of all, I'd like to say I think we live in the most incredible community in the world. I absolutely love Stratford and the people that are here, and COVID-19 has really hit very strong. I mean, it shocked many. Routines were interrupted, businesses have been interrupted, but I think, as we pivot and we adjust to our new normal under our circumstances, it's important to reflect on the strengths that we all contribute, to this community that makes us strong in the midst of this test. And I'm just very privileged to be a part of this tonight. And thank you, Craig.
You're welcome. Andrea O'Shea, my colleague from Ballina Entertainment. Andrea, people are working from home, homeschooling their kids. There are people suffering from anxiety and stress, financial stress. Tell us sort of what you've been reading about and hearing about in your day-to-day in the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think initially when we were all basically sent home, we were all trying to navigate through working from home and having families in a lot of the case. And so how do we explain to our children why they can't do the things that they normally would? And, I think a lot of times they've still managed well to realize this is the new normal. There are different things we can do, spending a lot of time outdoors, doing Zoom calls with friends instead of face-to-face hangouts. And yeah, I think that for the most part, a lot of people have adjusted well, but we're all in this together. And I think that's one thing that a lot of us have found welcoming, is that it's not just one person that's been isolated. We're all home. We all have to figure this out together.
And we'll be sharing some resources in our comment section. Tell us a bit about if people need help or have some issues, where can they get help from?
Yeah, so we spoke to Linda McKay as one of our interviews from the Space Within, and she's provided us with some community resources that we can all access, even if you don't have a counselor or a therapist and that sort of thing. So we'll be sharing those in the comments below in Facebook. And then we'll also be welcoming all of the good news types of stories that you've encountered in these last few weeks.
That's right. You mentioned that. So we only have 2 hours to present all this material. There's a lot more stories out there that we can't include, but this is only the start of what we're doing in the community. We're launching a new community platform tonight called bravostratford.ca, and it's the place where people can post their own stories, musical performances, and things like that. So if you're not included in tonight's special, we apologize, but we only have a certain amount of time available. Now, Trevor, the other purpose of tonight's show is to raise money for the House of Blessing. Tell us a little bit about the importance of the House of Blessing and the community food bank and the pressure that they're experiencing right now.
Absolutely. The House of Blessing began 36 years ago with Norman and Florence Kale, who had a real passion to meet the needs within our community through their faith. And so they just give out tangible things, food, clothing, and anything that we contribute to the House of Blessing that's now being led by Tressa McMurray and her team goes directly back into our community. So again, special thanks, Craig, for us supporting House of Blessing and this cause within our community.
And I think, Andrea, we have a link that is on our YouTube channel or Facebook page where people can click and donate. Is that correct?
Yes, so we have the link on bravostratford.ca. Under our live feed, there'll be a donate to the House of Blessing button that will take you right through a PayPal donation. And then I'll also post that link on the comments in Facebook.
So we hope everyone enjoys what we put together, and we'll be back now and again over the next 90 minutes to 2 hours. We're breaking it up in chunks. So we're going to leave you now with the live portion, and we're going to play some of the parts of the program and the stories that we've gathered from our community. So we hope you enjoy it, and thanks for tuning in.
Hi, I'm Dan Matheson, Mayor of the City of Stratford. We are living in unprecedented times. It's incumbent upon all of us now more than ever to come together as a community. Whether it's through business organizations, municipal government, church organizations, or service clubs, we all have our part to do, and we're all lending a hand. And over the course of this documentary, you're going to learn about so much that is being done for our health and safety, and I just ask you to do your part, and to give thanks, and of course, stay safe.
It started out as me finding the different nursing homes, and I go to a total of 11 venues or places that I play in nursing homes and every day of the week. And on Sundays I also add O Canada, and I add a couple of hymns to the program. And I decided that I had no choice but memorize some tunes, so I memorized 30 tunes. So some of them are repeat because it's there's only 5 sets with 5 songs in each set. But anyway, it's fun, and they seem to enjoy it very much. And I'm told that all of the nursing homes, that all the patients can hear me from the inside because somehow it gets through the bricks and the glass, and the sound is heard. And the nurses are always waving and smiling and giving me encouraging thoughts to keep me going. I was away on a holiday to Cuba, and I came back and I was quarantined. And some of the ladies in the apartment building said, "Stu, why don't you get the trumpet out and play off the balcony?" So that was, while I was in quarantine for the first 2 weeks, I got a cornet out, which is not the euphonium, a lot smaller instrument. I got a cornet out, and I was playing some songs off the balcony for 2 weeks. And I said, as long as I'm confined here, I will play off the balcony, but as soon as I'm not confined, then I'm going to play from the street. Tequila! Thank you.
So we've got Krista here from Madeline's Diner, and she's going to run us through her pivot when COVID-19 hit.
The week before the final shutdown happened, we definitely had started to notice a decline in just business in general, because people were becoming more aware of what was happening around the world. Sunday night, through some talk with some people, realized that the government was gonna come on Monday and say, we're gonna lock it down.
And you weren't sure yet if you were gonna be an essential business in that group of people.
We weren't sure if we were gonna be essential. We also weren't sure if we were gonna try and run takeout only, or if we were going to just shut down completely. I went to Facebook and started to say, this is what we're doing, and tell us where you live and we'll bring it to you. I built an email list because I couldn't manage the number of emails that were coming in, so I built a list so people could sign up so they would get a daily email saying what we were selling that day.
And this was all like grocery store items. It was more like milk and cheese and butter. Right. And so it was no longer a restaurant, which
there was no takeout.
Right.
Other than tarts. One of my first reactions when all of this happened was, we are 2 weeks away from Good Friday. And for us at Madeline's, Good Friday has always been our biggest day. It's insane. We sell a ton of fish. But it's also one of my favorite days because I like doing the impossible. So, because we sell a whole lot of fish in a short period of time. So I decided that was going to be the one and only or last time we did any form of actual takeout was Good Friday. I actually had to cut it off about 24 hours early because I realized I had sold way more than was probably possible to deal with.
How many orders went out on Good Friday?
525.
Wow.
And 26 dozen turns.
Wow.
So that was done with my kids, my husband and I, and then I did bring my 3 kitchen staff in. We set up the parking lot. We had social distancing in the parking lot. I had 4 drivers that never entered the building that also delivered. So in 4 hours, we did.
You fed 526 people.
Right. It is absolutely, there's nothing remotely that's similar to what I'm doing other than it's food.
Mm-hmm.
And what I know and what my mom's, if I go right back to the very beginning, her mentality always was, it's not about making money, although you do have to make money, it's about feeding the world. And if I just take that simple slogan and just keep going, then we'll be okay. Because for me, the only thing I know how to do is serve. That's what I've done all my life, is serve people. We're in year 35, and all I've ever done is serve people, whether it's from the kitchen, whether it's on the floor. Well, this is still my way of doing it. So I feel safest here, and I'm not sitting at home terrified that I'm gonna lose everything I've worked for my whole life. I may still lose it. That's the reality, because when it's gonna change, nobody knows. But I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that our community's fed and that I still have a roof over my head. I'm fully prepared mentally to go at this for 6 months to at least a year, and adapting every week and sometimes every day or every month. So I was contacted by my bank, your neighborhood credit union, a week ago to feed some healthcare frontline workers. So the workers that we're feeding is the Ritz Villa in Mitchell. So we're doing 60 boxed lunches. So we're doing sandwiches and salad and veggies and dip and a tart.
And a tart.
And a tart. And a drink. And it's all gonna fit into one of these handy dandy little boxes.
Awesome.
And cutlery and condiments and all of that, all gonna fit in there. And then we're gonna take them to Mitchell, to the nursing home. And it's the bank's way of saying thank you to the frontline workers. It's also the bank's way of helping a member who is struggling because we're at maybe 30 or 40% of our normal sales. It's also our way to say thank you as well, because I get to feed those people, and that's what I do. I appreciate every single note that we get, and we have lots of them. We have a wall of them in the back. Because some days what we're doing right now is hard because it's way different. It's not what we're used to doing. And then I remind us all, myself included, but the few staff that are here and my kids, to read the wall and to remember that it's not about us, it's about the people that we're serving. Every day you have to look for the hero and the angel, because every day there is that person somewhere in your life, and it's so easy to get stuck in the negative and the fear of what am I going to do? Well, you have a choice. You either sit paralyzed or you move. And I think that's what we've done, is we moved.
Hey Stratford, Dana Manning here, and I just wanted to say how proud I am of us as a community for following all these crazy rules and guidelines to keep COVID-19 out of our community, and we've just done an awesome job. And I know it's been at a really high cost. and I sympathize with everyone who's struggling because of it. But we've done good and know that there's a deep reason why. I wanted to thank all of the frontline healthcare workers and all the other frontline workers helping us get through this. The folks who pick up the garbage, the people who work at all the grocery stores, the veterinarians, and the long, long list of essential services who have helped us get through this. So thank you. Thank you for showing your kindness. And I wanted to share my song about being kind. It's called Freedom, and it's really about being Canadian and being kind. Baby, strong and free, can leave you without. Oh, when it's on the rocks, you gotta the night is long and the sun's coming low. You gotta close your eyes and get freedom. Here's a promise of mine. You gotta have time. You gotta have time. You gotta have time. Freedom, spread it out far and wide. You gotta be kind. You gotta be kind. You gotta be kind. Overthrough, get you off your track. Oh, in a day or four, you could always get back. And when they wanna know your home and native land, just tell them all about the cat and the freedom. Here's a promise of mine. You gotta have time. You gotta have time. You gotta have time. Freedom, spread it out far and wide. You gotta be kind. You gotta be kind. You gotta be kind. When people mind your story soul, and glowing heart wherever you go. Freedom, here's a promise of mine. You gotta have time. You gotta have time. You gotta have time. Freedom, spread it out far and wide. You gotta be kind. You gotta be kind. You've gotta be kind. Love you guys.
We have Linda McKay here from The Space Within. She is a registered social worker and has a 15-year career at the University of Waterloo's Counseling and Psychological Services, counseling students, staff, and faculty. Your clinical focus is in mood management, depression, anxiety, associated challenges, and using cognitive behavioral therapy, integrating mindfulness-based practices to help your clients meet your goals. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you.
Can you, I guess, just first explain your practice and what cognitive behavioral therapy is and mindfulness?
Yes, cognitive behavioral therapy is a foundational therapy that is well researched, well known, I think, worldwide. And it's one that really is a skill development focus of being able to cultivate an awareness of the interplay between our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions and behaviors. Mindfulness has been a well partnered timely and well partnered with cognitive behavioral therapy. In fact, it's kind of the next wave of CBT, and in fact, there's specific training as a cognitive behavioral therapist to integrate mindfulness practices, because mindfulness is just that. It is the cultivation of awareness, cultivating our witness awareness to our experience without judgment. And when we learn these skills to be able to practice that, we realize, oh my goodness, there's so much that goes on in our head, so much self-criticism, so much self-shaming, a lot of judgment. So that's what we're loosening, because those are well-known, kind of earned habits that have developed developmentally over years, the self-protective mechanisms. But often we get to a point where we realize, gee, I'm suffering, I'm unhappy, I struggle with depression or anxiety. So these are wonderful foundations to be able to learn the skills. And we're all, no matter where we come from, what our frameworks, these are skills that we can all learn.
Do you have any advice to people that may be struggling with more of the isolation aspects and how they can cope and use your therapies?
This is an extraordinary time. It's unprecedented. We hear these words in all the reports we're hearing, and we're hearing them because all the professionals and advice givers that we listen to are normalizing that we've never, any of us in our generations, have faced this before. And we've faced other things. We've faced, countries and communities have faced tragedies and losses and all kinds of challenges. So we know as a human species, we have great capacity and great resilience. Of course, the conditions within which we live can help support that or make that more difficult. So when we have secure housing, when we're food secure, when we have an integration of social supports, my goodness, that is what we as Canadians have invested in since Tommy Douglas times and before, right? In terms of that social support. So that's really important. So wherever we are within that continuum, one of the most powerful and sometimes seen to be not enough strategies is to name what we're feeling. When we deny what we're feeling, when we tamp it down or push it away, we often give rise for other kinds of secondary emotions to take over, like aggression, like anger, like fear, like more defensiveness. Those are all normal human responses. This is a pandemic. It's a sort of existential threat, as well as, of course, a real threat to many, many of us. So just to really normalize that, that's the part where we can say we're not alone. We're facing this in our different locations. So we may all have different resources, and that's important to acknowledge, I think.
I thank you so much for being here today and taking the time. Yeah, if there's anything
Can
else.
I just mention one more thing, which is a fund that the Space Within is a part of. And the fund is called the Wendy Shaw Fund. And it's over 3 years old, and we've been the providers to provide counseling through the fund. So the fund covers counseling. The designation or the criteria now is for women, anyone identifying as a woman who has experienced abuse, violence, current or historical, that's impacting her life. So that fund is available, and anybody can contact me to find out more information about getting support. It's not a crisis support, it is a therapeutic trauma response to offer people in that position.
Hi, my name is Mike Heiss, owner of Junction 56 Distillery. We make gin, vodka, whiskey, and we've been around for about 5 years.
Tell me,
how you pivoted and why you pivoted to making hand sanitizer.
We started by actually just making 100 small bottles just to give away to customers because we could in here, and started getting phone call after phone call after phone call of place needing this. So we, over the last 5 or 6 weeks, have pivoted more and more towards making hand sanitizer.
Why does being a distillery put you in a position to be able to do that quickly?
We have access to the product and processes to process high percentage alcohol, and sanitizer is 80% ethanol. It's really ethanol, some glycerin, and peroxide as the main components. We're following a guideline from the World Health Organization, and it's been approved by Health Canada, so there is Health Canada guidance on how to do this temporarily, and they've been licensing formulas based on that. So we're a licensed formula with Health Canada. Really, we just got overwhelmed and we're surprised by the number of places that needed help, that needed some sort of hand sanitizer in the beginning. You know, hospices and healthcare institutions, you know, Meals on Wheels, all those types of places that we kind of just felt compelled, like somebody needed to help them, and we were able to, so we did. Our regular business is ongoing as well at the same time, so we've actually been trying to keep up with both, and probably not being perfect at either, but we're doing as well as we can in here.
Hi, I'm Claire. And I'm Joni. And we're the Yoga Chapel. We were a cycle yoga studio out on Warren Avenue, but we decided to cancel our classes and stop live classes as of March 15th. We were concerned about the COVID-19 crisis. We live with our mom, so it was really important to keep her safe and the vulnerable people in our society, as well as our community here, safe as well. So we pivoted right away. Pretty hard. We bought a professional camera, lighting, and sound equipment so that we can make beautiful content for YouTube. And we learned a steep learning curve of Facebook Live, Instagram Live, which we're still learning, and Zoom. And we'll be learning more of those things. So check us out on YouTube. I've got a whole collection of self-care players up there with a multitude of health professionals.
And wellness professionals talking about how we can deal with the stress responses, not just by moving your body, but
breathing and immunity and that sort of thing.
Yeah. But as we started to pivot our business online, we also noticed that there was a need for social distancing masks that were coming into our community. I went to Ryerson, so I knew how to sew, and I had sewing machines at the house. And
Joan taught me how to sew, which was also very steep learning.
But now she has a new tool, a new skill.
Awesome.
And all these face masks that we made, we gave to frontline workers for free. Anyone else was $5. Half of that went to the food bank. We decided to give all the money to the food bank because all the stuff we had was basically free. We had 100% cotton that was at our house. Elastic bands we were given from KW Surplus and my friend Denise.
Thank you.
So people stepped up and helped us to help others, which we are super, super grateful for.
I think we've raised over about $400 for the food bank. So if that's a charity that you're looking to do, that's an amazing one. The food bank is great.
And because we also are in fashion, we understand certain elements of how to make things happen and work. We're making new t-shirts, saying namaste at home, so dealing with the COVID crisis, the Yoga Chapel logo,
that sort of thing, just to push more things that we can offer socially distanced wise.
Most of the classes we've designed ourselves, so they were not like a big franchise. We're the Yoga Chapel together, and so we have classes that we've designed and created, and so those will be movement based, like yoga and kettlebell and animal flow, cycling, which we do here, cycle and yoga together.
Things happen for a reason, and things don't happen for a reason. They happen randomly. And it's those things that happen randomly that you can take an opportunity. So we're just taking this thing that has happened randomly, and we're going to make it into an opportunity, hopefully. And keep positive and realistic, and keep building from what we can.
Stratford is one of the best places that I've ever lived. We've lived a lot of places. Claire lived in Ireland and Germany. I've lived in Montreal and Toronto. And I've never experienced a place that was so community driven. And that's one of the reasons why I moved here and then forced my family to move here. I think it's amazing.
I've just been blown away. Like, I talk to my friends all the time, and I have to stop talking about it because, they're very jealous. I can get beautiful coffee delivered to my door, as well as like fruits and vegetables that are plentiful, that are Canadian. The collaborations that we've done in the last 3 years at the studio as well, just in this COVID time, is unreal. Like, people are just so creative and so caring and thoughtful, and we are blown away. Like, we are so very, very lucky to be in this community.
From Claire and I, from the Yoga Chapel, VXO.
Virtual hugs and kisses.
Hi, I'm Tressa McMurray, Executive Director of Stratford House of Blessing. I hope you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during this time. Our heartfelt condolences go out to those who've been personally affected. For those who are in need of food support, we are here for you. We are all facing challenging times right now, and there's no shame in reaching out for help. We are all in this together. Take care and be safe.
Welcome back, everyone. For those of you trying to access on Facebook, we apologize. We're having a few technical problems. We're learning this new technology, but not to worry. After this is over, it's all going to be on YouTube, so you can watch from the beginning if you missed the first part. And I think, Andrea, you've been keeping people up to date on some of the comments and making sure people know where to watch this.
Yeah, you can just log on to the link from Facebook events page or from our Ballinran Facebook page, and then that'll start the stream.
That's terrific. So you can watch it on Facebook after we finish, or you can go to YouTube. So you'll have a chance to watch the entire show. Really happy to have our next guest on the show right now, Ryan Erb from the United Way. Ryan, welcome.
Hi, Greg. Glad to be here.
You're part of this task force that Invest Stratford has set up. Tell us a little bit about the task force and what your organization's role is on that.
Sure. We're just beginning, but we've had one meeting and are heading into our second next week, where we're looking at how to move towards recovery from the pandemic. And so there's committees that are looking at business sides of things, and we're in particular looking at the not-for-profit and how we can help businesses through the times and people through the times as we move toward recovery over the next number of months.
Now, the United Way has been around for over 100 years, and you're known for helping organizations, but now you have to help individuals. Tell us a little about how you are making yourself available and funds available for people in need.
Yeah, so during the COVID-19 crisis, we're not only helping organizations with the funds that we're raising and helping to administer on behalf of some levels of government, we're also helping individuals through a partnership with our social services friends at the City of Stratford. So some of the dollars that are coming in are being administered through what's known as our Individual Urgent Need Fund. And so if you're out there and you need help with something, perhaps you're struggling to pay for food, or perhaps you're struggling to pay a bill, that's the resource that you can access right now.
How do people apply for it, and how much can they expect?
Depending on your circumstances, up to $1,000 for a family unit, and you can apply for it simply by calling social services. There is a short application form also on our website, perthhuron.unitedway.ca.
I know the province has been talking about this, but are you encountering any people who are calling about how to deal with rent?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the people that are calling are struggling with expenses of quite a number of varieties, and including how are they going to be paying for rent through this difficult season. So there's a few people that maybe don't qualify for some of the existing programs, and this is a way to help when you're falling through the cracks.
How will the task force be communicating with the community and sharing the news of decisions that will be made?
They will be communicating through the City of Stratford. So our friend Mike Bites, who's the communications manager, is involved in making sure that messages get out as that task force gets up and running.
You talked about economic challenges. What about the mental health challenges? Because I'm sure those challenges with money and stress can lead to other symptoms and other problems.
Yeah, certainly what we've seen from day one is concern from our partners, the organizations that provide mental health services, that there's going to be a significant problem coming. And in the early days, there was actually a reduction in the number of people that were reaching out for services. You know, I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? We're telling everybody to stay home and to keep to themselves. But what we're seeing is that there's more stress building, and we want to make sure that there are resources available. So we've launched a couple of things, one actually in partnership with Invest Stratford to make sure that entrepreneurs who were feeling stress had access to counseling. And so there's lots of partners involved in that one, including the Community Foundation. We also just recently launched a program specially designed for frontline workers and their families. If they're struggling and don't have access to counseling services, they can get those now through family services.
Ryan, thanks very much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Trevor, over to you now. A lot of people in times of stress rely on their faith. We have a large faith community in Stratford. How can people, when they can't go to church, how can people like you keep the connection going, and what are you, how are you reaching out?
Yeah, thank you, Craig. In the Bible, in the book of Matthew, chapter 8, 23 to 27 of the verses, it talks about a story of where Jesus and his disciples are crossing the Sea of Galilee. And all of a sudden, there's a storm that comes upon them. And if you can imagine being in a boat, when there's a storm out at a sea, it's quite terrifying, especially when water starts coming into the boat. Everyone's natural response is, to pick up a bucket and try and push that water away to get things stabilized and to find that place of safety. And in the story, it says that they woke Jesus up because they were actually quite upset at him because he wasn't pitching in. Can you imagine somebody in a boat sleeping when you're supposed to be bailing the water out? And he stands up and he looks at them and says, "You of little faith." And then he speaks to the storm and he calms the storm. And that story has really been important for us in our faith, because just as the COVID-19 has hit us, like all of a sudden, it causes waves in our lives. We're trying to adjust to new schedules. We don't know where our income's coming from. We don't know. And it interrupts our routine of coming together as a community. But, in the midst of turbulence, in the midst of trial, is really where we dig to find the depths of where we find our faith. And I think for many people, it's actually been a season of renewing their faith and renewing their connection to their belief in Jesus and belief in God and who he is. And so for us, we've just been really coming together as a community through telephone calls, through emails, through Zoom calls like this, and just really encouraging one another. And we have so many amazing churches in faith community within Stratford. And if you're watching tonight and you're not connected to a faith community, I just really encourage you to reach out and get connected, because it's more than just, believing, it's coming into relationship with one another.
Let's talk about the House of Blessing. We're raising money tonight for a very important community resource that may be more important in the future. House of Blessing is a food bank. Tell us a little bit more about that again, Trevor, about how people can donate.
Yeah, I think, we can talk about loving our neighbor, but unless we're willing to give to them, clothes and food and take care of their practical needs, it's really our faith and our love for one another put into action. And the House of Blessing have definitely demonstrated that within our community. If there is a link for you to contribute, to give, they receive all sorts of different types of donations. And this is the time, not everybody knows where their income's going to land and all that, but what better time to move in the opposite of being afraid and trying to hang on to stuff, but to sow into one another? Because if we all do that together, we'll come out on top at the end.
And Claire, your group, the Yoga Chapel, you're doing a lot of meditation and mindfulness. Talk about the role of that in helping people get through tough times.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of things about meditation and taking things mindfully. And that can be in anything. That could be walking, like your 20-minute walk or an hour walk outside. It could be doing the dishes. It doesn't have to be just sitting down and like zenning out. It could be anything. And just taking those precious moments and really being present with yourself, like, is a really helpful tool right now.
Andrea, as a mother of a couple of kids, like all of us, we have kids at home. Do you think there's any new relationships being built up because we're not as rush as we were before?
Definitely. I think a lot of kids are used to doing activities, like planned activities, whether it's soccer, baseball, or winter sports, where we were when this began. And I think there's a lot of people just going with the flow and going in nature and walking out on the streets, taking their time because there's no rush for anything right now, really. So just enjoying the moment, really.
Terrific. Well, we're going to come back in about another 30 minutes. We have another package of stories to share. So we look forward to seeing you back here in about 30 minutes.
Hello, my name's Keith Reynolds, and I'm here in the sanctuary of Avondale United Church in Stratford. I'm one of the ministers here, and I just want to share with you how grateful I am to live in a community like Stratford that embodies hope in a difficult time in which we're living during the COVID-19 pandemic. And when I say embodying hope, I guess what I'm referring to is all the little ways that people are coming together even when we can't come together. The way people care for each other at the grocery store lining up, or the way people are waiting for their turn, or waiting online in a phone call, or the care that's being extended in the hospital, and some of our nursing homes in Stratford that are going well and beyond their normal care at this time. This is a caring community that embodies hope. And many of you are living that too, and how you're caring for your family members, delivering groceries for them, doing that extra bit, saying hello to your neighbor, making sure they're well. You and I are living in a difficult and even strange time together. And so it's an opportunity for us to hold on to hope, and in some ways to allow hope to hold on to us when we'd rather choose something else. And so what ways are you and I allowing hope to hold us so that we can hold on to each other and hold on to that hope that makes Stratford the kind of caring community that it is? So thank you for what you're doing, the ways you're bringing life to this community, and most of all, the way that you are joining this embodiment of hope that we're living together here in Stratford.
You know, our family's not been here long in Stratford. We moved here almost a year ago, but man, have we fallen in love with this town. It's wonderful downtown and the quaint shops. It's a beautiful place, and to make it even better, we have been so well accepted and loved here. And we're happy to be here, even in this dark time. And we want to be a part of supporting Stratford and bringing hope to Stratford. Yes, mankind can do amazing things, and we're capable of some really fantastic feats, and we can encourage each other and we can love each other through hard times. But in the end, even our best can fall short. And even we can find ourselves in a panic that shuts down our economy in just days. But there's hope. There's hope that this isn't the end. There's hope for this moment and all moments to come.
Hello everyone, I'm Father David Butler here at St. Joseph's Immaculate Conception and also Holy Name of Mary Parish in Stratford and St. Mary's. Even though we're not gathering here as the people of God, our church is still very much present within our community, especially on Highway 8 as you drive by the beautiful steps and the statue of St. Joseph. You'll notice that we've placed white ribbons on our doors, a symbol that we are reminding all of our people that even though we're not gathering, we're still here with you in prayer. And we've been trying to find creative ways to reach out to the people in our community. And Ironically enough, we've noticed that the best way that we've connected is picking up the phone and calling the people in our community. So many people have said that after receiving a phone call from someone on our team, how much it meant to them. And it got me thinking about loneliness. So many people are alone at this time, and the one piece of scripture that keeps coming to my mind and heart is where Jesus says, "Come to me, all of you who are heavily burdened, and I will give you rest." And it's a reminder that in our loneliness, that we are not alone. We have the Lord with us, carrying us. And even for myself, it's a reminder that every time I try to go life alone, I'm not alone. I have the Lord. I have friends, I have community. Within our community of St. Joseph's Immaculate Conception and Holy Name of Mary, that we are holding all of you together in prayer, and that we are here for you, and we long and we can't wait for that moment when we can gather together again.
Hi, my name is Charlie Swartwood. I've been in Stratford for over 30 years. My story began in 1988, and I've been there ever since. Back in 1988, I had no idea that in 2020, I would be in the midst of a pandemic with the rest of the city of Stratford. I'm also the local Stratford police chaplain. It's a privilege to serve our police who are trying desperately to serve our community, trying on every hand not to get themselves infected, but at the same time protecting our city. So today I sit at the city square. As I'm sitting here at the city hall, the market square, I'm just reminded that we're all here together, and we're here together at this point because we've been called. We've been called by God to address a situation that is just unimaginable. But with that in mind, I am also aware that in this day, when we are faced with overwhelming circumstances, that this is the time to drop down our guard. This is the time to remove the barriers that have stood in between us and friends and others in this community. That this is a time that we say, you know what matters most now is the city of Stratford and her well-being.
Hi there, I'm Constable Darren Fisher. I'm the Community Resource and Media Relations Officer with the Stratford Police. From my perspective, the community has had a fantastic response. It appears from all aspects that people are following the recommendations of staying home, and that's easily seen by the amount of traffic that's out on our roads and in our parking lots around the city. As far as the support goes, it's been outstanding. Like I've been taken aback every day at the support that's been provided to not only the police service but all frontline workers, including nursing home workers, including grocery store clerks, including delivery drivers. Our community has had a fantastic response. People have been extremely kind to one another throughout this whole situation. People are respectful to one another's space and distance. People are listening to the requested behaviors that are being asked of them. I think we're all experiencing some anxiety and some worry over this. And if we look at it, this is a worldwide crisis right now, and it's very normal to have those feelings, whether we're a frontline worker or whether we're off at home looking after our kids, or we're just not at work right now. Everyone's going to have a little bit of worry and a little bit of concern over how this is going to play out and how their health is going to be at the end. I think it's important to recognize that we, the police, are here to help with that. We have programs in place with where we partner with a mental health social worker through the crisis response team, and we can attend to calls for service when needed. And there are services available in our community for anybody at any time. I think it's important for us to recognize that police, fire, paramedics are not the only frontline workers. The people who are in the nursing homes and, like I said, the grocery stores are integral to our society and to our community. And I think it's important that we recognize those workers as much as we can.
Great job, Stratford. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay strong, stay safe, and look after one another. Thank you.
Hi there, we're Richard and Ruth Knider, co-founders of Simple Dreams Ministries Ontario, Inc. And through the years of living in Stratford, we have had the opportunity to serve our community and surrounding area by investing in lives and seeing what the results of those things can do.
What we primarily want to do is we want to be able to develop relationships with the people that we deal with or come in contact with. And what we want to do is we want to be able to encourage one another through that. And we want to let people know that no matter what they're going through, there is hope in what they think is a hopeless situation. Mm-hmm. And we also would like to let them know that we want to stake ourselves next to them and know that we are there for them. And Simple Dreams is involved in a lot of things over the course of the year, but there are 5 basic ones that we try primarily to involve community to get involved in, no matter who you are. And they are, the biggest one being To Stratford with Love, then a citywide picnic in the park, a pizza pool party, a Easter ham giveaway, and a Thanksgiving turkey giveaway. And I want to share with you about the Thanksgiving turkey giveaway is that we will give away approximately 100 to 150 turkey packages. And the whole premise of it is that if you get one of these packages, that you have to invite a friend, a neighbor, somebody that might have just moved into the community, or even somebody that you know has just lost a loved one, and you have to invite them into your home and share that meal with them.
It's not really about the actual meal, sitting down to eat that food, but it's about the togetherness, it's about the conversations and the laughter, it's about the connection that happens through the volunteers and everyone that's involved that way, and through the guests that come. It's all about that sense of belonging.
And I found a button this week that I think shares it all, and I'm just going to show it to you now, and you can go from there. Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Giza Mordofa. I am the volunteer of Multicultural Association for Perth-Huron. We are helping newcomer people in need in the area. We are delivering food, delivering coffee, flour, medication. Everybody they need, especially this time with coronavirus. People they need help. People they live, they want to go together. Especially new family in the area, they stuck home. They're thinking about back home. There is no any celebration anymore for them. They are worried, and our organization helping, looking after them, and also our community get together. Our community helping them, supporting them by giving donation, by looking them, and our organization to say thank you for our sponsor, donor, who give us this opportunity, who give us food, who delivering, who give us support. This very important time. We are all one countries. We are all Canadian. We want to say thank you so much for all your help and for all your support. Thank you. One community, one support.
Hi, I'm Rob Wigan, executive chef and owner of Revival House here in Stratford. And we just finished up a really fabulous Easter turkey dinner, contactless takeout or delivery service tonight. We were able to provide a lot of families with the needed experience of some kind of form of togetherness or that sharing, that kind of celebration that Easter weekend brings. You know, it's a difficult time for a lot of people, and yeah, it felt really good feeding the locals today. Nice turkey dinner, 3-course turkey dinner. Revival House is going to continue to offer contactless takeout and delivery during this time of the big shutdown. We thought it was really important to do something like this on Easter weekend when you know, normally families would be getting together, people would be congregating and celebrating, and Stratford really likes to go out and Stratford really likes to enjoy themselves socially on Easter weekend, and it's a struggle for a lot of people. They can't see their loved ones. This was a nice way to for people to feel like something was normal this weekend.
I'm Jim Snyder. We're just continuing a Joe's Diner get-together that we've done for how many years? 40 years?
Something like that.
Close to 40 years, I guess, we've been doing this. But at Joe's Diner and the Elizabethan before that.
What's the process? How do you organize this? So what have you got? Somebody buys the coffee, or what did you do here?
Well, somebody, up to, this is what, the third week we've done this, so we've been bringing, each one been bringing coffee.
Who's responsible for the did you buy today?
I did today. Somebody else did last week. It was my turn today.
We were suggesting, though, that each one bring his own, and that would be simpler.
Did you ever think you'd be meeting in a parking lot?
No. But it's a good way to get out, maybe to help keep our sanity on this, what's going on.
You know, all this talk about this light at the end of the tunnel. You know that saying? I keep thinking of the railroad guy that said there was light at the end of the tunnel, but it was on an oncoming train.
Yeah. Oh, yes. What a wild bunch, I'll tell you. Last time I think we had 6 members here, so we had to, one of us had to clear out. I think that was me. Actually, if we get that today, we'll just break into 2 groups.
I think that'd be the easiest, 3 and 3. Yeah.
We won't send you home today.
Well, it's good that you're continuing the tradition.
Well, that's right. Well, the world needs us to solve their problems, so we can't quit now. Just let a little thing like this stop us.
Hi, I'm James Blendick, and this is my wife, Mary Blendick. And we've lived and worked in Stratford and at the Stratford Festival, as a matter of fact, for over 30 years. And we've had a wonderful time in this city. People have been absolutely wonderful to us the whole time we've been here. And as a matter of fact, a friend of ours just passed away and who spent some time here in Stratford said that, he says, you know, you guys live in paradise. And I said, that's true, it's true. We love it here, and we love the people here. The people that we meet each and every day at our grocery stores, and our mechanics, and the restaurants that we go to. You know, it's been wonderful. And the size of Stratford is just great. You can get things done in an afternoon, whereas anywhere else it takes you a few days. But anyway, we would like to celebrate a lot of the essential workers in Stratford, the people in grocery stores that put the food on the shelves so we can have food each and every day, the pharmacies so we can continue to get our medical supplies, the police, the paramedics who are on the front lines, the fire department, nurses and doctors, and caregivers who work in nursing homes looking after the elderly who are so susceptible to this COVID-19, and the spiritual leaders who bring peace and comfort to the people. Oh yes, and the drive-ins, and the food deliveries, and the food banks who supply food for people that have lost their jobs. Now, can you imagine if all these people wanted to play it safe and stay at home? Oh, terrible. So we want to thank them. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, yeah, and I would really like to take the opportunity, as Jimmy says, we feel so blessed to have lived here in Stratford all these years. And I just want to take this opportunity to send our love to all the friends that we've grown to know over 30 plus years here in Stratford, our theatrical friends, our theatrical family that we've known and loved. Just want to let you know we're still here, we're well, and from the bottom of our hearts we just send our love to you, and we're just very grateful to be part of Stratford.
So let's keep being patient with one another and follow the rules, and keep your distance, and keep safe. We'll beat this thing. We will. Love you.
Welcome back, everyone, to Bravo Stratford, the spirit of community. That young lady playing the cello a few minutes ago, her name is Winnie Hu. And if you like classical music, next Sunday, Mother's Day, May 10th, the Stratford Symphony is putting on a virtual concert hall with a concert entitled Darkness into Light that was recorded 2 years ago. And you can check that out on the Stratford Symphony Orchestra's Facebook page. Speaking of Mother's Day, that's a good segue to talk about how we can support our local business community, which is going to be facing some challenges. Let's throw out the discussion now and talk about how we as community members can help our local businesses survive when perhaps our tourism numbers will be way down this year. Claire?
Well, I think there's a lot of businesses right now that are offering packages, which are amazing. Rebel's got one, Bradshaw's, the Loom, Green Hair Spa, Losa, the Yoga Chapel, and they're all working together to create these beautiful packages for Mother's Day, which includes some of their own stuff as well as flowers and food. So anything that you think of, you can get downtown. So I would suggest supporting your local businesses as much as possible. They are there to serve you. They want to make your Mother's Day like the best. So that's what I do recommend.
During the break, you were talking about buying local and buying local wherever possible. Just elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, I believe that we should buy as local as possible. We have everything that we need in this community. And I believe that if we can't get it here, I don't think you need it. That's my personal opinion. If you can't get it and you have to go to Amazon, you probably don't need it. You can get everything you want here in this community, for sure. Food, makeup, facial stuff, everything, hair stuff, everything you can get it here.
Andrea, what have you observed about local businesses who are trying to weather the storm?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've noticed is just the collaboration, and whether it's for these Mother's Day gift baskets that many organizations are contributing to, or ongoing. There's so many businesses that are working with others to create planters with a flower shop, or coffee and coffee makers. So I think we really need to support our businesses, like you were saying, Claire, whether it's products, whether it's services, whether it's gift cards. We need to try wherever we can, because otherwise these businesses aren't going to be open at the end of this.
Trevor, what are your thoughts on that?
It's funny. I had a friend of mine tell me the other day that his wife had a craving for beef jerky, and instead of him going to Walmart or the grocery store, he decided to Google beef jerky online to see if there was any local businesses, and he found just outside of Melverton. So he made the trip to Melverton and he bought this beef jerky. And he said it was a great experience. It was like he was able to connect with a farmer, a retailer that's local that he could support, but he built a relationship in the midst of it. And I think just in the midst of our circumstance, it's an opportunity for us to find a new way of doing community together.
And there's so many, sorry, Craig, that are doing curbside pickup and deliveries to your porch. So it can be totally hands off and safe that way, but still getting the products that you need or want.
And Claire, we were talking about some of the innovative ideas that are popping up on events and how we might be able to keep the businesses alive during the summer season, and especially now that the restrictions are easing somewhat.
Yeah, I think we have to look outside of the box. And actually about a box that we don't even know exists. So we have to think super creative. If we're going to do yoga, we might have to take it outside, or we bike, or we tell people to join us on a run if we can eventually. So it's things that we don't even know yet is possible, that can be possible. We have to be rebels and outliers, and we have to just try new things. And I think then we'll survive. If we continue to adapt and pivot, then we'll make it. We'll make it together.
Well, our whole next segment is all about businesses that have been shifting gears. And we'll be back in about 30 minutes to wrap things up. So thank you again for joining us. We're raising money for the House of Blessing, and we'll come back in about 30 minutes.
We are Henry and Ann Koskamp of Koskamp Family Farms. We farm just outside of Stratford. We have a Holstein milking herd, as well as a Mediterranean water buffalo herd, chickens, and a biogas plant. We've been asked to talk about how COVID-19 has affected us as a business and as a farm. At this point, all of our employees are healthy. We've had some restrictions put into place from dairy farmers of Ontario, as well as chicken farmers of Ontario. One of those being that the milk truckers, we don't have contact with our milk trucker, and the chicken catchers, there's no contact with them, and so therefore the supply chain is safe from the start of the farm already.
Also, our staff works fairly isolated. It's not very hard on the farm to keep people spaced apart, so there should be no transmission from person to person with too close contact. However, we do have to monitor everybody, where they've been, where they're going, and yeah, we've had to deal with some isolation cases based on people's travels.
One of the big changes we've seen is in our Mediterranean water buffalo sales, as we also milk Mediterranean water buffalo. Our online store has increased sales, and therefore we're doing more deliveries, which has been great in restaurants that are still open for takeout. We supply some of those. And so as a community, it's been great to see community support local farmers and local restaurants for takeout. And we just ask that you continue to do that at this time.
So the question, will our income be affected? The answer is absolutely. My worst case scenario, I'm expecting 1 out of every $3 could be missing. A lot of it depends on how long this lasts, when we get back to normal, and what that new normal looks like. There's a lot of changes on the horizon, and we don't know. We don't know where this will go. If a processor is shut down and we have to, dump milk, then it's going to be very expensive. If we can keep the food going to the consumer with minimal disruption, it's going to be better. So we really don't know, but there is, for example, some pork plants and beef plants that have been shut down for 2-3 weeks, and there's going to be significant losses, especially in those sectors. So the product lines that used to go to the retail, to the restaurants, for example, are now have to be changed to the consumer preference of what they want to buy at grocery. And this takes time. There's product lines that are no longer needed and new product lines that have to be ramped up. And we have to be patient. We are going to get through this, and we are better together.
Our next guest is Rebecca Scott, General Manager of the Stratford City Centre BIA. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
Not too bad. I want to look ahead. I don't want to look at what's gone in the past, but I want to find out, we're seeing the restrictions easing up somewhat. Where do you think we as a community can help our local downtown merchants, the restaurants, the members of the BIA, to help them get through the next 8, 10, 12 months?
Well, I mean, there's a few things. The city is working with some of the stakeholders, BIA included, with an economic response and recovery group. We've now divided into sub-committees, and I'm on one standing for tourism, hospitality, and retail. So that's the focus of our downtown core mainly. And so we're looking at things. Of course, we have to wait for more information to come out from the province on these restrictions. We did see the guidelines come out today for different industry standards for safety. But the things we're thinking about now are things like how, when we're up and running in the new normal, what PPE will businesses need? How can we facilitate that and help them with that? We're looking at the potential of projects where we're seeing a lot in other cities where outdoor events are happening at distance. So is there a way to kind of enhance our outdoor space so that restaurants, for example, can maybe serve food in a extended patio look? These are all ideas at this point. Yeah, the future is still unknown, but there's a lot of optimism now. It's been kind of a roller coaster this week with the announcement of the festival. And we all know the impact on our downtown core with that. But with this light at the end of the tunnel in terms of, yes, we will get back to our new normal. There will be some business happening. It just gives a little bit more optimism to the business community.
We have to remember that although we're disappointed that the season of the Stratford Festival, as well as Stratford Summer Music, have been postponed, Stratford has a lot more to offer than theater and music. Mind you, people do come to see those things, but we have great restaurants, great shops, great parks, all of which we can leverage somehow to bring people to Stratford and also have people locally enjoy it more often.
Yes, and I think the focus too, because there's going to be, air travel once it starts, it's going to be limited. And I think that our tourism has, the focus is a little bit more civic. And we're also going to be looking at people who will want to travel and they'll want to maybe go on road trips. So as long as we're being safe and following the guidelines, we'd like to invite people to do that when we're ready to open up those doors to Stratford. You're right. And I think a lot of people were using the term pivot. A lot of businesses are pivoting. So again, not looking backward, but I think this has been an opportunity for some businesses to get their services online, and they've created their Shopify, websites and things like that, which are going to help them moving forward as well.
What I find most remarkable is the community spirit that has come out of this. Instead of dwelling on the negative, so many people have stepped up to do things for the community and to reset their whole approach.
So community spirit wise, I mean, I think that we've seen, let's be realistic, there's been waves of emotion through all of this. But I think the love for this community and some of kind of the trivial things that were in place before in terms of we all complained about a lot of things, you know, things that may have been, we were very privileged as well, right? So I think there's been this shift in the focus of what's important. And then as in terms of community spirit, I'm getting back to the businesses that have collaborated. You know, we've got businesses that have said, okay, how can we package our services together? How can we market these things together? And it's been quite successful for some, right? Of course, we'd love to see our brick and mortar places open, but I have seen a lot of that happening.
Well, we never imagined that we'd ever be in this spot, even when the situation in Wuhan erupted. But here we are, and we seem to be getting through it and managing it and coming together, even though we're separated, but we're working together, and it's really, really good to see.
It is. Yeah, and I mean, you talked about, you know, the festival and summer music. I mean, I think you would agree that there's been this huge shift in content creation and live streaming and all of these things. So I think that we're going to see that. I've been encouraging groups to look at that, like summer music, they might. They've announced that their season is done as we know it, but I think everyone's getting creative right now. So I think we'll have some nice surprises around the corner as we all adapt and, you know, come out of the woodwork. But I think, yeah, I think there's a lot of silver linings in the situation, as much as it's been a really challenging time. I do think there's, right now, I'm feeling some optimism. So, yeah.
Well, that's great, Rebecca. Rebecca Scott from the Stratford City Centre BIA. Stay well, and thanks for your time.
Thanks, Craig.
Hi, this is Ron Sexsmith. I hope you're all hanging in there and staying safe during this difficult phase. I was singing this old Bob Dylan song around the house the other day, a song called If Not For You, and my wife thought it might be a nice message to send out. So here goes, enjoy. If not for you, babe, I couldn't find the door, couldn't even see the floor, I'd be sad and blue. If not for you, if not for you, babe, I'd lay awake at night and pray for the morning light shining through. If not for you, if not for you, my sky would fall, rain would gather too. Without your love I'd be nowhere at all, I'd be lost if not for you. If not for you, the winter would hold no spring, couldn't hear a robin sing, just wouldn't have a clue. If not for you, if not for you, my sky would fall, rain would gather too. Without your love I'd be nowhere at all, I'd be lost if not for you. Not for you, the winter would hold no spring, couldn't hear a robin sing, I just wouldn't have a clue. If not for you, if not for you, if not for you.
We have Carrie Reeford from Bradshaw's Kitchen Detail. Carrie, tell me, when the lockdown happened, what did you decide as a business owner to do to pivot your business?
To be honest, in the beginning, we really didn't know what to do. It was very scary at that time, and it all came on like a ton of bricks. We had to lay off all of our staff, which was heart-wrenching and a really horrible moment for our business. Because many of our employees have been with us for over 30 years. But we just had to go into survival mode. And I don't know, that for me, this was a very instinctual scenario. It's just like, what can we do? What can we try? How do we push through this? How do we keep going? Because our business is now 125 years old, and we are not going down like this. So there was a very urgent desire to figure out how we're going to get through this, how we're going to continue to offer what we offer to our community and keep going.
So tell me about the partnerships that you've established and how you decided to get those going and what those entail.
Well, a lot of people have been asking me about that, and luckily I've been doing that since I came to Bradshaw's. I've been doing that for 14 years. So for me, I've always looked at building relationships with other businesses in our community as very important to what I do, because it's not just Bradshaw's that's important, it's all of us that are important. So that has always been part of my core planning. When I'm working on projects, I'm always looking for interesting tie-ins with other businesses in Stratford. So this is not something I just started. This is something I've been doing for many years, luckily, and it works great, and it's beneficial to all of us. So I know I've been getting a lot of feedback from people out in the community saying they're appreciating seeing this type of behavior, and I'm so happy to hear that, because I want all of us to succeed and all of us to do well in this city. That's what's important to me, that we're all here at the end of all of this. So you know, when this all started, I just thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I started to think about other businesses that were still open or open behind closed doors, and what they were up to. And then I thought, okay, well, let's come up with some ideas. Let's try, and I noticed there was a very big trend towards cooking at home. And I thought, okay, let's package an item from our store. We'll partner with the Little Green Grocer and deliver to the door of our customers. So really making it a very easy experience for our customer, something that brings another business into our fold, where I'm giving them spin-off business. Like, I'm not upcharging on anything like that. I give that money back to the business I'm partnering with. And it's been a really incredible experience. You know, although I've been friends with these people for a long time, we're working together in different ways now. We also worked with Stratford Blooms on a hanging planter promotion, for example. I noticed that everyone was just so down in the dumps. They wanted something to brighten their day. So we had these beautiful planters, and I called Amanda from Stratford Blooms and I said, hey, would you let me sell 3 of your plants to go in these planters? And that has been an incredible tie-in together. So it just keeps going and going. And again, that's another revenue stream for another business that they might not have had, because my followers on my Instagram feed and my social media might be completely different from Amanda's, and they might be completely different from Little Green Grocer. So this is a way that we can educate our customers about other businesses in our community. So that's really what this is good for. This is going to be a long haul for all of us. It's, you know, with the announcement from the Stratford Festival, that very upsetting announcement for all of us in our community, we just have to be prepared that things are not going to return to normal. So we have to try new things. And I think sometimes, I think a lot of people resist change, and right now that is a terrible idea. Change is happening, and we have to just embrace it. And I really want to motivate our businesses in our community to let them know that, yes, this is not ideal, but there are ways to improve our situations and, you know, succeed into the future if we try new things, we work together, and we promote each other, and we, you know, we stay positive. This is a really important thing, that we have to put positive messaging out to our customers in our community, that we are here for them, and that we are working together, and we are going to get through this together. And I think there is a lot of opportunity right now if you look at it in that respect. There's a lot of opportunity for businesses right now to connect with their customers on a level that we haven't been able to do for some time. Like, I think our world has just been going on such a fast pace that we're all just trying to survive and keep up and worry about the big boxes of the world. But what we can offer, what this community is excellent at, is the personal touch. This is something that we have to put on everything we do right now, is our personal touch and our human connection with our customers and with each other, with our fellow businesses in our community. If we can do that, and I know that we can because I'm seeing it happening already all through our city, this is the way to win back customers. This is the way to reclaim a lot of lost business that has happened over the years from big companies outside of Canada. This is our time to really take back all of that business and push forward. This is an opportunity. Don't be afraid to ask somebody, how are you doing? How are you managing? How can you help? You know, or how can I help you? This is an incredible time to connect with others. So make it your priority.
A collective spirit. Thanks very much, Carrie.
Thank you, Craig.
Well, we're really happy to have the bookends with us on this program. Welcome to Pete and Kate and Errol and Miriam.
Yeah. Thanks, Craig.
So you've been doing some interesting things with your music, appearing randomly, doing pop-ups around town. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, it's an idea that Kate came up with, but it's really, it's something that, you know, we feel great about being able to do because we love playing together, and we haven't, you know, had to be sort of physically distanced as a band recently, obviously, as all people have been. And so there's an idea that Kate had that as we went out to deliver our CD to all of the locals that ordered a CD from the band, which we just released a couple of weeks ago, that Kate had this great idea that we'd stop in and play a tune and hand deliver it, contactless, of course, but hand deliver it. Yeah, couldn't resist.
Now your band isn't that old, although you've been playing music for some time, so this kind of interrupted your growth strategy, I imagine.
Well, it did. I mean, we had a lot of plans for the record, and so obviously with you know, launching a new album and wanted to get it out there, we wanted to share it locally and have a launch party. And plus, we had a lot of gigs booked, and so I mean, it's a really tough time to be a performing artist because, you know, how do you perform if you don't have an audience? And so that was again sort of why we thought going out and being able to play in front of people's homes while delivering the CD, while a small thing, is an opportunity for us to play to a small crowd and sort of bring our music to them, the drive-by music, as it were.
Miriam and Errol, tell us a little bit about the bookends genesis and the music that your band performs.
So we started, Miriam and I are originally from out west in Alberta, and we moved out here a couple years ago. And some of the first folks we met were Pete and Kate, because we obviously live across the street from each other. And so we got out here and we were, you know, kind of unpacking, and I kept hearing this whistle. And so I was trying to figure out where this whistle was coming from. And I'd heard it a couple nights. And so finally on like the third or fourth night, I decided I'm going to go find this whistle because it was obviously not a random thing. Somebody was playing. And so I went up and down the street, kind of echolocating the whistle, as it were, you know, a little bit that way. Oh, it's getting quieter. Come back the other way. And anyways, I thought, you know, I kind of narrowed in on Pete and Kate's house, and I thought to myself, well, there's no way that can be. But sure enough, I head towards their backyard, and it's getting louder and louder, and pop my head over the fence, and there's Pete and Kate jamming on the back porch.
Pete and Kate, tell us the title of the CD and what can people expect to hear on it?
So the CD is called Chapter 1, sort of keeping in that bookends theme and making it clear. But it's really sort of an adventure of some of our favorite sets that we've put together. And there's an interesting story behind a lot of the combinations of tunes. There's one that's called the Salt Mine set from our adventures out in Goderich during the Goderich Celtic
festival, and one night that carried on into the morning that had us playing out on the beach, and we were joined by some of the folks that work at the salt mine, just listening to the tunes that we were playing, and so some of that, it just becomes a collection as you go along.
So we're going to play a video that collectively your children have put together. That'll be it. I'll have you introduce that. But tell me one last thing. How can people take advantage of your unique delivery method? And are you going to continue delivering CDs to the people? And I guess attached to that question is, what has been the reaction when you show up on people's front lawns or sidewalks?
So you can buy the CD off our website, and we actually have a promotion code for local residents to use. It's called Local Love, and that just lets us know that you're game for us to pop by, and we're delivering the album by hand, and we'll play a tune out front. You know, it's a real lift. It brightens people's day in a time where everybody's day feels like it's the same wash, rinse, and repeat. It's over and over again the same thing right now. Our lives are sort of stuck. And this is a real shift for us, but for everybody that we're coming to visit, this is definitely something that helps distinguish. And it's a lift. Yeah, I think that's what I would say.
Well, congratulations for finding a new way of sharing your music. And let's take a look at the video that your kids put together. The Bookends, Home Delivery.
So my name's Mike Carter. I'm the owner of Milverton Food Town. I'll take you on a little tour of what we did for COVID here. So in my background is the front of our store.
So a nice quiet start to the day at Milverton Food Town here today. We're just getting open and have a little bit of a lineup to start, but you can see our soils have come in. Even though COVID's here, life goes on.
So as we come in the door here, this is our lovely Josh waiting for customers to come in, making sure everybody sanitizes, keeping the list of how many people are in the store. We max out at 12 and then ask people to stay in or outside till somebody leaves. And we don't allow gloves to come in from outside, but we do provide free gloves for anybody that feels the need to wear them.
Probably the biggest challenge with when this hit with that is that we both are in frontline areas where we both run the risk of getting sick and bringing it back. Either in Bev's case, she could bring it back to me, which would transmit it into our store, or I could give it to her, which transmits it back into the hospital. So it's a kind of a scary situation when you're both in separate areas working on the front line, that you're in areas where you can both be exposed in separate ways, which is a scary situation.
Mike and I had discussed prior to that, what we would do if something like this were to happen. So once we found out that I was exposed, then we decided right away that we would start living apart. So April 1st, Mike moved into a small trailer parked at the grocery store, and I stayed here at home, self-isolating. So I work in the microbiology department. All the COVID samples come through our department, and we do not do the testing at Stratford. We package them up and we send them. Currently, they're going to London. After I went into self-isolation, I did become sick, and I did test positive for COVID. My symptoms were very mild. I still have a little bit of a cough left, but I was very lucky. We've all watched TV enough to see the worst case scenarios. So I think my story is important too, in that mine were very mild and could have easily been overlooked or put off to stress or, other ailments. So right now, Stratford General has a policy in place where healthcare workers need to have 2 negative tests before returning to work. So my symptoms resolved. I think I only was fevered for 2 nights. I had night sweats for 3 nights. So those symptoms have long resolved, but my retests are kind of all over the map. There's a lot of discrepancy or misunderstanding. They're not sure if the virus is alive or dead, if I'm capable of transmitting it or not. But at our grocery store, we do not want to take any chances. And I certainly don't want Mike to get sick or any of the staff to get sick. So we are remaining apart. We feel that until I get those 2 negative tests in a row, that we will stay apart. So I'm hoping, we keep getting optimistic that, it'll only be another few days. But unfortunately, a few days has turned into 31 now.
Right at the beginning, obviously, I'm sure in this area, people know Craig's story. The grocery business is a pretty small world, and Craig and I hold a lot of the same interests in that we're both hockey fans. His son and my son both work for an accounting firm, the same accounting firm. They went to the same business schools. So we kept in touch and had our monthly conversations. And so it hit pretty close to home, both in the grocery world and also in that it's somebody that I know quite well. And is a scary time. As you can see, we built our own little barriers for our cashiers to keep them protected from any of the customers. And we don't use the second till, which gives us our 6 feet. On our floors, we've got arrows marked to keep them all one way, to try and give our customers a little bit of chance to social distance. As you can see, our store is fairly small. So there's not a lot of room down these aisles to give you your 6 feet. So we keep everything one way if we can, and ask the customers to abide by that, but try not to get in any fights if we can help it. We live in the greatest country in the world. We take for granted some of the simplest things and some of the littlest truths. I said earlier, my father turned 80 years old on April 1st. He's an April Fool's baby, born 1940 during the war. And I haven't seen him for 2 weeks before that. So we're going on almost 55, 60 days that I haven't seen my dad, which is something. He worked with me in the store. He taught me everything I know here. And it's something we've always took for granted. You know, a lot of times the father-son thing doesn't work out quite so well when the son took over. But with us, it was wonderful. And I miss him dearly. He means a lot more to me than just being my dad. And
I think we take a lot of things for granted in Canada that we have had given to us, or we've had the right to do, whether it's going fishing or going camping or going golfing, that people are upset because they can't do right now. And the greater picture is so much bigger than that. And I hope we get to the other side of this as better people. I would send a big shout out. I've said this before, as the owner, I kind of feel it's my responsibility, but the workers here have been put in a real position, and our staff is known for being happy and smiley. And probably the greatest compliment I got through all this COVID and what we're doing is a customer that came to me and said, I don't know what you're doing, but your staff's still smiling. And under very trying times, they've been deemed frontline workers. And I don't know that I ever thought I would have lived to see where a grocery store worker is deemed frontline. But our staff takes that with pride. They come to work every day. They do what they have to do to make sure our community still has food. And it's really neat. It's a wonderful thing to be part of, and I just hope we can keep them healthy.
Churchyard, St. James, Stratford. These are the half-names, the half-people, the quarter lives of rain-smoothed hieroglyphs, details smudged like that goodbye lipstick kiss that wounds the motel mirror. The markers magnetize the dead, dredge with their icy nets the deepest plates of this green Sargasso Sea, where Christ-like we tread upon the graves and perceive the heavens. Are these fishers of men, these markers pressed to the beating hearts of the long departed, their stories pulled wide-eyed to the earthly surface in the silvered froth of regret and memory? I do not know. It cannot be my place to judge or ascertain. I am no Messiah. The cypress here will always drape in prayer its sacred hands upon this special earth. We walk among the stories now, as they too may walk among us, some greened with grace's lifting flush, others still stark before the lens, in that eternal bewilderment of the dying.
What I find so inspiring about this churchyard is simply the fact that it's about the stories of Stratford. You can almost feel the stories circulating in the air. And for years, we've had a house here for 20 years now. And all this time, I'd sit on these steps and I would see the people walking among the markers. And sometimes, I must say, walking over the markers. And I've just been fascinated by the fact that it's almost like those stories are straining to get to the surface. And the markers themselves are like magnets pulling and drawing the stories out of the ground. And I think that is just so fascinating, to read the stories and the inscriptions to the extent that they are still readable is absolutely fascinating. Well, I think the tone of the poem itself is, I would describe as reflective. You know, it's not negative in any sense, but it's very reflective. I think during this time when we deal with so many issues in our society, obviously the pandemic is to the forefront, and it does cause us to reflect on our past and our present and the future. And I think driven by that especially, I was inspired to write the poem as I just sat right here on these steps one afternoon and wrote the whole thing right out. But I think it's been percolating inside me for a long time.
Okay, here we are up in the belfry of the Bells of St. James. All 15 of the bells are up here. The largest bell is off to my right. It's called Big Joe, or Gloucester. It actually has two names now. It was one of the original bells weighs about 1,200 pounds, 1,000 kilograms. There are 15 bells in total up here. When we rebuilt the chime, we replaced everything except the actual shells of the bells. So there are new clappers, new framework, new wires, transmission, pulleys, everything coming up to the bells themselves. We added 4 new bells. Here's one up here. Here's one right by my elbow, a new bell. That gave us 15 bells as opposed to 11. Everything's mechanical, as you can see. The clappers inside are pulled by the handles downstairs. Sort of like that. And it's a real treasure. This is the only chime of bells in Perth County, much less Stratford. So here we are in the chime stand room of the bell tower of the Bells of St. James. A little bit of history and background. The church itself, the building here, is the 3rd building built on the site. This present building was built in 1870. And at the time, the parishioners, they allowed for the fact that there would be a bell tower perhaps somewhere down the road. But in 1870, they built about 40 feet of it. So the part that we're standing in here now, in the chime stand room, where I actually play the bells, dates back to 1870. We use this is the existing original 1909 built chime stand. However, we added 4 new levers and we added 4 new bells at the top, so it expanded our range considerably. So now we have about an octave and a fifth. So in a scale of, in a key of C, it would be from C to C to G is our range now. Right, here we are in the chime stand room. Behind the chimer, where the chimer plays the bells, this is what I call the history on the wall. And it has been basically graffiti over the years. It's been updated by various people, the sextons, the wardens, and particularly the chimers. Started right here in 1921, Ernest C. House, and I kind of think he backdated. He probably started about 1937. But it started off just being who's the sexton, who's the organist, who's the rector, who's the caretaker of the church. So I hope you've enjoyed your virtual tour of the bell tower and visit to the Bells of St. James. I'm going to play one of my favorite pieces, an inspirational piece to me certainly, Over the Rainbow by the Wizard of Oz. One of my favorite pieces ever.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to wrap things up tonight on Bravo Stratford, the spirit of community. I want to end on a optimistic tone and go around our virtual roundtable. I don't know about you folks, but the people I've been talking to have said that, we can get through this, even though we may not have the theater season with us this year. There are people who say there's other reasons to visit Stratford, and we can still have people come to our community. Claire, what are your thoughts on that?
I think if we all work together and collaborate and keep spending money here, then we're going to do great. And we're going to do fine. We'll get through it together, and we'll find other ways to survive.
Andrea?
Yeah, I mean, I think Stratford is much more than the festival. It's a huge part of our community, but there's all the culinary aspects. There's, wonderful houses to take walks through our town and look at, and we're more than the festival, and there'll be still lots to draw people to our community.
And Trevor?
Yeah, we have so much to be thankful for. And, in times of trial, it is difficult. There are people that are struggling in the season. But as we focus on what we can be thankful for and not take for granted the relationships around us, I thought it was so powerful, to hear about Foodland and his father giving the business to the son, and that they work so close together, but in the season they've been separated. And it brings to the realization, let's not take our relationships for granted. Let's take a look around us and see the value that we have. And you know what? We will get through this. People who are in business, who are entrepreneurs, they're creative, they're innovative. It just means a new opportunity for us, Stratford, to step up to the plate and find a new way through this season that we're in.
Thanks very much to everyone watching. And we're going to end with some music. And this whole program will be posted on Facebook and YouTube after it's finished, and as well as on bravostratford.ca. So thanks again for joining us, and stay safe.
God, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do. God, I look to you. You're where my help comes from. Give me wisdom to know just what to do, yeah. God, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do. God, I look to you. You're where my help comes from. Give me wisdom. You know just what to do. I will love you.
name is Jaden. I go to Bedford Public School in JK. They gave me this homework, so we made a card. So I made a card, and it's for Greenwood, and the message says, "We are on this together." We want to love the people that are helping, and we're giving them to the people that are sick in Greenwood.
What do you hope for the most? What's your big wish?
Well, I hope everybody gets together again.